Hey, everybody. Today's guest is an Amazon ads expert. Him and his team run about 10 different brands and of various sizes, some to be large, some are really large. And we're going to cover a variety of topics today, talking about general strategies for your ad campaigns, how to improve growth, how to improve keyword metrics, all the, of course, the most important stuff like ROAS, ACoS, tacos, all that kind of good stuff. But also just really what it takes to survive in the crazy world that we call PPC. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of our Velocity Sellers podcast. I am your host, Velocity Pete, and today we are joined by another Amazon expert, someone who has been working in the Amazon space for a while, particularly in the ads section. I'm excited to learn his story, talk to him more about his experience on e-commerce specifically Amazon, and to kind of get an idea of, again, what it's like to be in a position like his. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am joined today by Sean Kinney, the ads manager at Fulton Imports. Sean, thank you so much for joining us today to talk to us about, again, your experience and what it's like working with all these different e-commerce platforms.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Pete.
Yeah, yeah. First thing I want to do is, as always, is I want to get a sense of your background, kind of what got you into this industry. So you wouldn't mind giving us a little elevator pitch on yourself, kind of how you found yourself in the Amazon space, and really your story on how you got into e-commerce.
Yeah, I actually started went to college for graphic design, and from there, I was working at a graphic design firm, helping small businesses, just kind of mom and pop shops, create websites. A lot of them had the interest in Google Ads, and so kind of started getting a taste of the advertising world there. Became more interested in the space, jumped to actually continue to do graphic design to a manufacturer of tactical boots for like police departments, things like that. And they had an Amazon presence. And so from there, started doing Amazon. Initially, it was wholesale products. So dealing with like map pricing and competing with tons of sellers for the buy box. Really kind of starting to understand the world. That was in 2015, and so been doing it for 10 years now. I've been at Fulton for the past 7 years. Pretty cool. We're a private label seller. We have 9 in-house brands, ranging from everything from home decor to toys, home improvement products. So there's really never a like boring day. Constantly new things to look at, new challenges come up. So really kind of always engaged within the Amazon space, trying to learn how we can get that competitive edge.
Thank you for that background and that information about, again, your experience. I'm excited to get into your current venture, again, managing all these different brands and running these different accounts. Some people have trouble running one brand at a time, so I'm very curious to see and learn about how you manage a bunch all at once, with full, in depth, all that kind of good stuff, all the different strategies that go on there. So yeah, no, I'm really excited to talk to you today and just kind of pick your brain about this kind of stuff. We've been having a few more of these episodes like this where we talk to brand managers. Most of the time, our episodes are these like giant LinkedIn gurus. So it's nice to talk to, I don't want to say normal people, but it's nice to talk to some more normal people every now and then as well, because, there's definitely a different market for those kind. Anyway, everyone's probably rolling their eyes at me that's been a guest. Not to say that they weren't awesome people. It's just that sometimes it's nice, again, to get back to the people, boots on the ground kind of people. So plain and simple, I mean, managing the PPC account for these big different brands has to be at least a somewhat complicated task. What resources and how do you balance those resources and strategies across all of these different accounts? I mean, what do you take into consideration when looking at them, and how do you manage just, again, navigating these different accounts and making sure they're all growing?
Yeah, first and foremost, I manage a team of people that each have a segment of our total account. I mean, without them, it really wouldn't be possible to kind of get the touch points that you want on each and every SKU. We do use software. Um, We use Cobalt from Jungle Scout to manage PPC. It has a number of automations, really cool tracking, reporting technology within that tool. It's been really helpful in order for us to kind of understand our market share, pinpoint areas where we can find keywords in order to further push, grow our products, grow our brands. Um, and really, in kind of addition to that, using Google Sheets, we've been able to develop like some in-house tools that just take data from various APIs, like the Amazon Ads API, organize it into one place, really kind of build out kind of our own tools that kind of automate a lot of processes, whether that be looking at an ngram report of all of the search query performance keywords for a particular SKU, or maybe you want to look at marketing stream data and understand at what time of day your conversion rate is the best. So really kind of being able to lean on those tools has helped us really kind of bridge the gap, as well as kind of build in those little touch points, or maybe there are flags that you can easily pull up, which help us kind of determine like, hey, this is where a fire is burning right now. Let me
Hmm.
go put that out. So I would definitely say that like softwares, kind of understanding how to use the many various data sources that Amazon gives us, has really kind of helped us take that next step forward.
Love it. Yeah, no, and talk to me more about the different sizes of these brands in terms of how many SKUs are in each, each catalog. Like, are these giant, like, thousands and thousands of SKUs? Are they, is it a hybrid method? Like, how many ASINs would you say are in each brand on average?
Yeah, and some brands are only about 20 SKUs, and then there's others that are in thousands. So it just kind of depends. There's really kind of two primary brands that we have, that are both kind of up in that kind of thousand mark. Um, Those, catalogs obviously, take a little bit more extra attention, um, but we've really been able to kind of hone in and, use historical data that we have,
Hmm.
just from an ads perspective, using kind of software, to understand like, "Hey, this is kind of the playbook that we're gonna run
Right.
year over year over year." So, that's been really helpful.
Love it, and that's a great segue into one of the questions I always like to ask is what have you seen sort of year over year? Sort of, today's day is February 26th. We're almost 2 months down into 2025. Have you seen any interesting trends into this year so far that maybe didn't come up last year? Are you really leaning into anything specific this year on the advertising side that you weren't doing last year? I love to look at year over year, I guess, growth really for my guests. Like, what are you doing this year that you maybe weren't doing last year?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us this year that we're really leaning into is DSP,
Mm.
looking to unlock a lot of like the AMC capabilities, really kind of hone in on that data, kind of build our brand, potentially even scale our brand larger than Amazon to other platforms. We have like websites for our brands, but really Amazon is our bread and butter. So being able to kind of um, grow our recognition of our brand names in order to really kind of cement our market position, not just on Amazon, but as a whole.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of discussion. We've been having a lot of discussion with a lot of our guests on not keeping all of your eggs in one basket recently. And that's definitely something that I could see for all of these brands as well, is branching them out to other websites that fit their category. So if it's like a tool website, you put them on Home Depot and all that kind of good stuff. Sports, you're on Dick's Sporting Goods, all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, no, and DSP is very interesting. It's a very uh, I guess maybe almost like a exclusive club kind of thing, where uh, you have to be cool enough to, for lack of a better term, to get in there and use the program, use the software. Um, but it's very cool. It's very interesting for the retargeting and all that kind of good stuff for, being able to use some extra tools on Amazon for the ads type. So, Are you incorporating that for each brand? Is that just for some? And how are you incorporating that into the strategies?
Yeah, just for some. Really, looking at things like retargeting, kind of trying to really drive that new to brand growth within some of our brands. Uh, Really trying to hone in on getting that like repeat purchase, um, trying to understand some of that data better.
Hmm.
Really kind of working along our Amazon rep, really kind of helped us kind of unlock not only some of the data, but kind of the roadmap of how we can grow. So that's been really promising and something that we really valued coming out of like a Amazon unbox this past year, and just kind of the attention and kind of one-on-one commitment that they showed, like, interest in helping us grow, so that was something that was really cool.
Right. Yeah, those conferences could be great. I don't know if you're going to Prospero this year at the end of March, but that's also a fun one to
Yep,
pop out to
I've been out
and
there
attend.
before.
But yeah, no, it's very interesting too with, speaking of 2025 and the current events, looking at AI and all that kind of good stuff, for seeing just how the game is changing. Are you guys incorporating anything like Rufus into your, not so much Rufus, I guess, maybe more, but any kind of AI tools? I know you mentioned Cobalt for Jungle Scout, but anything else like rule changing, any AIs in the back end to really make it easier to identify, like you talked about, a little bit of metrics and the numbers and all that kind of good stuff. Are you working that into your programs at all?
Yeah, we've actually built some of our own GPTs just to kind of evaluate some of our listing copy and also help build listings, just kind of expedite that process. We launch a ton of new products. Like we'll probably launch 1,000 new products this year.
Wow.
And so we're constantly building and A/B testing different copy on the listings. So really trying to understand ways that we can use those tools to not only expedite our work, but make sure that we're in line with things like how can we make sure that there's intent shown within our bullets? And so also kind of using some of those tools in order to help our creative team understand various keywords that they can put throughout the listing. Um, Finding different tools that might look at things like, hey, let me evaluate alt text
Hmm.
for these images on our listing so that we're more aligned with how Rufus or Cosmo is going to kind of scan our listings and look at it from an SEO perspective.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see them being Amazon really really lean into this Rufus thing. And they've even started. I saw this. I don't know if it's true. I saw this a while ago, but I know they had said something about even putting ads under Rufus results. Like you ask Rufus a question, then it comes up. You can. I saw that there's like there's a sponsored tag on some of the results. So I don't know if that's still the case. I think it's interesting. I thought Rufus was going to be this organic based, based on all the different things that it's pulling, all the different data it's pulling. But I'd be curious to see if that is still. Have you seen that? Have you been playing with that, like advertising on Rufus? I wonder if that's just part of some of the ad types. But
Yeah, we have seen ads within Rufus and, like, playing around with the tool, and I know that they've added sponsored brands, into that as well. I'm not sure if there's sponsored brand video, but I know there's at least, like, this static, image and so we've just kind of used a number of tools. One of them being it's called Dog Walker.
hmm.
You can kind of put in a number of queries and kind of record results as to what you can put in and get out of Rufus. And so that's been pretty interesting. But also just kind of looking at some of the like auto generated questions that pop up on our listings. Um, Obviously, those may be what shoppers are kind of looking for from your product. So can we easily answer them within like a main image or secondary image
Right,
to kind of bridge that gap?
right. And content is always people that religiously watch the show know that I am very big on content. I think it's the most important part of any Amazon listing. Even more so, no offense, Sean, to the than the advertising. I think content should be your biggest priority. Um, But yeah, no, it's very interesting to see, and of course we've talked a lot about this as well, but how integrated content and advertising is together. That if you don't have one, you won't succeed. They both need to be working in tandem. We can go into that too, but I really am also just more so curious about the managing of the different brands and the sort of your strategies behind it. Like as far as especially in regards to the big events. So every year, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, there's always a problem. There's always issues. I can't imagine that being 10 times, for one team. So what do you guys? How do you tackle these big holidays, these big promotional events? Like, if you have a direct game plan for going about them? How do you, I guess, make your way through them?
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of planning up front. So like even like by July,
Hmm.
we're planning for Black Friday. And so, with that being said, really honing in on like keyword research, forecasting, making sure that we're going to have the units in place that we need in order to push advertising and also increase our organic sales. Um, from there, working to A/B test kind of throughout the season in order to kind of find like, hey, what's going to work best to convert the most traffic on this holiday. We really love to use the Prime days as like testing grounds for Black Friday, especially the October one. Obviously, you're kind of more so in that zone. And so kinda just A/B testing things within advertising. Maybe we'll A/B test some different imagery, that goes out in order to, just kinda see how it performs. But then kind of once we kinda get into Q4, we'll really push hard, in the lead up, to kind of the T5 or T12, whatever they're calling it now.
I think
And
so.
then, uh really kind of hone in on how our product is ranking. And so we'll typically set some benchmarks as to like where we want our products to be positioned for certain keywords or maybe within like a category as a whole. Make sure that we're aligned with promotions, the kind of messaging that's going to go out alongside those. And I mean, once we're in that kind of T5 zone. It's pretty much around the clock. We're
Right.
kind of looking at something in order to kind of make sure that we're getting the most out of our SKUs.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say you use the Prime days as like a testing ground because, um, there's been a lot of talk and there's been, forever since the Prime days and since, Black Friday came around, there's been a lot of talk of, these Prime days aren't really for sales. It's not for, "Oh, I had a bad first half of the year. I'm gonna make it up with, July Prime Day or whenever, or the fall Prime Day, or even on Black Friday, like, I'm gonna make it up on this day." It's really for, and you can agree or disagree, but I think they're more becoming, let's shoot up in rank. Let's shoot up in organic rank so that people find us easier after the event. The sales, of course, are always nice, but you're taking them at a discount because they're sales. So I think it's more becoming more heavily. Let's see how we can grow our placement on these different keywords. So thoughts on that, and also how are you guys tackling? Like, as we talked a little bit about keywords already, but how are you tackling, growing your rank across these different brands?
Yeah, so we use Data Rova to track just kind of like how our products are ranking, and Cobalt also has some tools that look at how we're ranking and also share of voice within any category and kind of how much revenue you and your competitors are generating.
Hmm.
So we can kind of see how we stack up. It really helps us understand whom we want to target, especially obviously like Datarova, they're kind of organizing SQP data. So you can kind of see like who are the top 10 competitors like within the space within search query performance data. So it's like, okay, here are the people I need to beat. You
Right.
can also jump into like product opportunity explorer, look at any niche and kind of understand like, hey, if you just look at like the click share, conversion share of those products, you can kind of guesstimate like where they're ranking. So, kind of understanding how those products perform, and also, I really like to look at and kind of analyze the copy of those competitor listings to say, hey, like what keywords are in here and what position, like what similarity or what's the density of these keywords to this listing that maybe our listing doesn't have that we could improve upon, that when we make that ad investment, it'll go 3 times further because we took that extra step. So really kind of honing in on those data sources in order to then understand like, okay, I've made this progress. Now I'll push on ads and then understanding where your ads are placing and then
Right.
kind of making sure that you have the right bids in place in order to get those sales to drive that organic rank.
Right. Love it. That's a great answer. And as far as other, success the spots go, aside from maybe ROAS or maybe ACoS, are you looking at any other metrics to how do you guys measure success on the ad side? Are you looking at all of them together? Do you have one that's more important than the other ones? What is really a determinant factor of how well your campaigns are doing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, everybody wants to be profitable, and people look at ROAS, but it really depends on what kind of ads we have in place. A lot of the times, like if we're gonna run a sponsored brands ad that's top of search, we're more so looking at like what's the click through rate of this? How is our creative performing in this placement? Is it achieving um, the most views? Are we getting more clicks on this creative versus this one? In order to drive more people to a detail page or maybe a storefront landing page. I'm really big on like using sponsored brand ads to capture people and take them out of search. So they're only looking at your products versus a ton of competitors, which may be lower priced or have more reviews than your product.
Right.
And so if we're able to do that and then you have them where you want them and can take creative or copy and kind of convert them a lot more easy than being within search. I mean, I always think that's a benefit. So, kind of understanding how those pages are performing as well can really help us drive the needle forward.
Yeah. Great answer. No, I meet a lot of people. The people that come in for an audit and they're like, "Oh, my ACoS is so good," but the other metrics are just not performing really well. So it's like, all right, well, that's great. Your ACoS is nice, but what about all this other stuff that factors into success? So it's very interesting to hear again everyone's perspective on what success means and what their take is on that.
Yep.
Um,
I think a lot of times if you see like an account that has just really high ROAS or really low ACoS, a lot of the times, like, sure, that's great, you're profitable, but you're taking yourself out of the like positioning for that category or that keyword kind of without knowing. So I think like a lot of times when you're looking at keywords, you just have to do it strategically and pick and choose where you want to push in order to have that visibility.
right,
Obviously, as well as having that like great ACoS, making sure that you can balance your organic position with what your ad investment is. So if you pull off ads and you see your organic position falls every time, then maybe we have to do something else to the listing to make sure that that withstands. And in the meantime, you have to keep pushing on ads in order to kind of withstand that. And because of that, the like return might be a little bit less, but in the long run, you'll have a lot better results.
right. I feel like a lot of people don't. They're not able to look at the they're not able to look at the long run. They're not able to look at the long-term plan. They want results quick. They want the most profitable campaigns possible immediately. Especially per product. I know we didn't get too much into exactly what products you guys have in the different brands, but I'm sure on a per product basis, some ad strategies are a lot different in terms of price point, in terms of the market. Like obviously, you got things like supplements and pet products that are going to be a million times higher bid prices and something like that's not as popular, not as competitive. So it really all depends on what you're selling and I guess really how you want to sell it. Uh, which is again, I'm sure nothing new to you, being you're running these 10 different brands. But if that's like I said, it's something that is very interesting. I'm sure the strategy that you take to approach, or the approach you take on these different brands is all different depending on the product. Or is there or maybe is there a general evergreen strategy on each of the brands on all of them?
I mean, there are definitely some evergreen strategies that kind of go across everything. Like pretty much for everything. We'll set up like gold painting campaigns, like catch-all campaign.
Mhm.
And then there are like certain ad types that like always kind of get used in some form or fashion, but there's definitely nuances to each, and mostly that's given the price points and or like longevity of SKUs. So like obviously a SKU that's been around a lot longer has a ton more reviews than something that's brand new. Um, and so we're always looking at things like what is our break even ROAS? What's our cost per acquisition for this SKU? How can we lower that? And then also, um, how can we work like with our marketing team in order to understand where this product is being priced? Um, can we adjust the price within this category in order to um, lower that like cost per acquisition maybe, but we'll sell more units, or maybe we want to increase price to kind of give us a little bit more room to push with ads to promote a certain product. And so really kind of understanding that balance is really helpful. Like I mentioned, kind of building our own tools. We've been able to kind of create that easy visual pretty much across every SKU. So anytime someone from our team goes to look to advertise something, like that's one of the first things that they see is like, hey, what's your break even ROAS? What's your cost per acquisition? Like much room do you actually have to move this product? If you have to bid $3 and it's going to take you 7 detail page views to get to an order, like can you make that profitable over the course of a month or 2 months?
Right.
And so really kind of understanding that has been really crucial.
Yeah. No, it's great advice. It's great tips. Again, for anyone out there that might be struggling and they might not understand why they're not seeing success in that way. Um, I've got sort of a fun question that I thought of that I think I have asked before, but I don't know, maybe not. If you had double, or if you had triple, or even quadruple the amount of budget that you have allocated for each individual brand, what would you do differently? What would be the different strategy there approaching that? Would it just be to spend 10 times more? Or what would you do to go to if you had again that exponentially more budget?
Yeah, I think where I would kinda look more is upper funnel, even DSP. Like, can we create demand, like, create more demand for our products? I don't necessarily think that if you just take like, say your budget is $1,000 for sponsored products on a certain keyword, like, there's only so much search volume for that
Right.
keyword. So like you have to go outside to drive traffic in. So even if you're not going to go to a DSP, you might go to like Google Ads, or you might go to TikTok and try to drive traffic into your Amazon listing or into your storefront to kind of capture some outside noise. A lot of times people see like your ROAS is phenomenal for this particular campaign. Let me increase the budget, but your budget might not be exhausted every day. So
Right.
you might go from a $10 to $20 budget and it's really not doing anything for you. So I think more so looking at the upper funnel and like external sources in order to kind of boost your products and your brand of where you get the most bang for your buck.
Love it. That's a good answer. Much better than mine of just let's just spend more. Much more tactical. So I love it. Thank you. No, I guess again, all the guests are rolling their eyes when I answer these questions. Very silly. No, Sean, I really want to thank you for coming on today. I do have one final question that I like to ask all the guests. Is that looking forward, looking ahead to the rest of the year, do you have any vision, or do you have any idea of how the advertising landscape is going to shake out? Is there going to be? Do you have any tips and tricks for how to navigate the rest of the year, and what it might bring?
Yeah, I think the main focus will kind of be seeing what comes with Rufus. I think as it sticks around and gains visibility, it'll take a little bit of time for more and more people to adopt it. And so I think like right now, if you look at like how people are finding your product, it's mostly still through search. And so as people get more comfortable using other methodologies like Rufus in order to find products and what they want to purchase. Like as marketers or advertisers, we'll just have to get smarter, more creative in order to ensure that we have all those touch points in place in order to kind of meet shoppers with where they are in their journey, and it kind of will become this like multifaceted approach that maybe a lot of people aren't doing now, but we're all kind of in the process of flipping over to.
Yeah. Love it. Oh, that might be I might have a quote in there for the thumbnail of the episode. Um, but yeah, cool. No, Sean, I want to thank you again for joining us to again tell your story and give us some tips and share your expertise on managing accounts of this size and as many as you do. I want to thank you all for out there for listening and tuning in to another episode of our podcast. Make sure to check out Sean's LinkedIn down below. I will have it tagged in there. And make sure to subscribe to keep watching these amazing episodes with these amazing people and amazing experts like Sean. Thank you guys so much. I'm Velocity Pete, and we will see you next week.